What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I am B-Train from Those Missouri Guys, and I'm here today to do a video response to Fight Nation Brian Crazy. What's up, man? I caught, something in my peripheral watching your video, by the way, and it happened to touch on a subject that I am very knowledgeable of, the New World Order. Basically, now that it's on DVD, I basically can watch what I've been watching on YouTube, watch what I've been watching since I was a kid, and basically relive wrestling history. But that's more about me. There was something in your video that made me kind of, think just a smidge. When you mentioned something about the best version of the NWO, I always tend to think that there's only two versions that I know as a wrestling fan, and that would be showcased in this DVD. When it originated in 1996 after Bash at the Beach, when Hogan betrayed WCW by dropping the elbow to the Macho Man Randy Savage, and then turning around to Mean Gene and saying, "This is the new world order of wrestling, brother." That moment created the NWO Black and White, which is one of the most favorite groups I have now. At the time, probably didn't like them, but appreciate them now, because if it wasn't for that free agency going around with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash at the time, and also the 1-2-3 Kid, aka Six, and X-Pac, you would not have had a pivotal, history-changing wrestling group. Hogan, Hall, and Nash, they created a ruckus throughout WCW. They raised hell. They made life a living nightmare for any guy in the back. Then you have 1998, when that NWO spawn of Red and Black with Sting, Luger, Hall, and Nash. Well, then Hall stabbed them in the back. But the point is, the group in 2000 with Bret Hart and Curt Hennig, not a big fan of for a lot of reasons. I'll tell you why. Lack of continuity in the storyline. You just cannot put two names in the hat and have the NWO. You add Hogan, you add Nash, there's some flavor for you. Flavor as in, well, how do I put this? Okay, you can't have a group with no flavor and expect the ratings to be what it was when the NWO first came out, because when it first came out, it spoiled the heel aspect. The NWO, to me, was a great influence as far as having a heel group, aside from the Four Horsemen, aside from D-Generation X, which was formed in WWE, by the way, to make it better. The NWO, the best group in my opinion, was probably when it first started. And when it got bigger, there started to be more problems. Bigger as when it had Vincent, Buff Bagwell, Scott Steiner, the Giant, who was back and forth with groups. And then you had a whole list of guys that I can't even begin to remember. There's just a ton of people. Even the Macho Man Randy Savage joined up with the New World Order. To me, when the NWO was in its early stages in 1996 to 1999, they were okay, because you had rivalries, formed Sting, the NWO Black and White. Then when Kevin Nash disbanded from the NWO in 1998 and went his separate ways and formed it with Luger, Sting, Conan, and everyone else, that group was also interesting. When it started dwindling down in 2000, or 99 and 2000, and the dumb idea to have Nash, be poked by Hogan and then form the NWO again, WCW was running on fumes at that point. So, where does Curt Hennig and Bret Hart fit into this? You have two great technical wrestlers, but when it comes to promos and quality, yeah, they still do that as singles competitors, not as people who form a group. And this is just my opinion. I also noticed, listening to your video, that the length was not long enough. I'm sorry, but 3 discs are plenty to explain the entire history of the NWO. And this is just my opinion. Okay, lengthwise, if something was to be 6 to 8 hours, do you think you honestly want to sit there as a wrestling fan and watch all of this? I think not. Okay, so it didn't go in depth on the NWO when it had Kurt Hennig and Bret Hart. Really? I honestly get a headache thinking of them as a viable group of... losing my train of thought thinking about critiquing that aspect. But on another note, here's the deal. The New World Order, when it resurfaced in WWE at No Way Out in 2002, whatever it resurfaced, the reasons why it was not as successful. Number one, this is just my opinion. You got Michael Hayes and Vince McMahon. Michael Hayes is, one of the people who tries to write a successful promo or storyline between two guys, but when him, Vince, and other creative control got a hold of the NWO at this point, it still had the founding fathers, Hogan, Hall, and Nash, and then it kind of just lost its luster again when Hall and Nash turned on Hogan, and that didn't help. And then they tried to replace Hogan with Shawn Michaels, which was a great candidate. They should have just kept it at 3. Then here comes X-Pac, or 6, whatever alias he goes under for wrestling, comes into the group again, and Big Show. The only missing variable was Hogan. Hogan decides to start revamping character ideas of his own, or what Vince wants him to. That included, facing off with The Rock at WrestleMania. His partners didn't like it, and then the NWO slowly started to crumble. Booker T joined, and then he was excommunicated from the group. Now, let's see here. Have ideas surfaced since then for the NWO? No. It just became a lovely DVD. See? Lovely enough for you guys to go and buy in stores, by the way. Cheap plug, I know. But this is a great DVD. And despite my, differing opinions with Fight Nation, Brian Crazy, I still respect his opinions because he states facts more than anybody I know of. Okay? I will disagree with you on favorite NWO, and that's it. This group was a groundbreaking group for wrestling. It made a lot of people turn their heads when this group first came out. And with that being said, I have nothing less to ramble on about. So, that's all I'm going to say about this DVD. I am B-Train from those Missouri guys. If you didn't like it, I don't care. This is my opinion. These are my words. Well, that's all I gotta say. We're